Hello everybody and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Suj.
And my name is James, and I'm a little bit hoarse.
There's only one more week. I was going to swear there. But it'd be a bit early to be dropping F1s. One more week where the world revolves around Fantasy Premier League. Then it won't.
Does it really revolve around Fantasy Premier League?
No. Well, my world doesn't.
My voice this morning is suggesting it doesn't.
Did you shout a lot yesterday?
Yes, I had to.
Was it a bad game, was it?
It was... all the stress I thought I was going to have Thursday, I had yesterday.
I had a hectic day yesterday. I was out at 9:30 in the morning and got back at 7 for 90 minutes worth of football. But obviously I had other things to do along the way. And it felt like I'd switched off to everything else that was going on. So I have no idea about how your game was, but it felt stressful. I saw a tweet from Ricky Saunders, our Tottenham correspondent, saying if Burnley lose in this way, he'd be really upset for them or something like that.
Oh, fuck
I couldn't understand what he meant.
Ricky.
What happened? Like, why? Why was it bad?
We'll get onto that. We'll talk about a game in a bit.
Your team shit again?
What?
Are your team shit again?
No, probably just about deserved to win. It was just nervous. That was all.
So one more week to go, and that's it. Like literally one more deadline for this season, and off we go. Like we'll wrap up the was it 8 games yesterday? No, 7 games yesterday. But I think we can get through them relatively quickly. I really want to get into the Twitter Q&A today, and get through as many of those questions as we possibly can, and hopefully we will, because there are obviously only 7 games, not the 10 to go through, and from an FPL point of view now, it's particularly getting to the point where the number of teams that we care about is less and less relevant. How's your week so far?
Spurs ones is all right. Average, mediocre. I don't know if I'm being harsh on myself saying that. I'm on 44.
Yep.
With 2 returns, basically. Richarlison captain, 24. And the brave hold of Ollie Watkins so far has come through for me with an 8-pointer. I've got no returns elsewhere. Schmeichel, no show. We predicted this.
Don't worry about it. If he doesn't play on Wednesday or Thursday, you've got Ben Foster coming on the bench, haven't you?
For the same score. I wondered if he'd left, if Rodgers had considered leaving Kasper Schmeichel out as a final call to see if this might make a change in terms of them conceding goals from set pieces, rather than just giving Ward a game. Because when I did the analysis on Leicester defending set pieces a couple of months ago on Talking Tactics for the patrons, he assessed that Schmeichel was a big part of their problem. He doesn't really come and claim. Sure enough, 5 minutes into the game yesterday, they conceded from another set piece, so that didn't make a lot of difference. Matty Cash blank, Cancelo 1-pointer. I got Sonny in with Zaha. So following Salah's obviously injury Saturday night in the cup final, I put Sonny in, put Zaha in, I sold Saka. I wouldn't have started Saka anyway this week. Coutinho blank, Gordon blank, Foden no show. I can't believe that he didn't get on a pitch yesterday. But it means I've got Andy Robertson coming off the bench to go with Trent if they play tomorrow night, which I think... I was of the impression yesterday, the way Klopp spoke Saturday night, that if City had won, he was going to give it up. It possibly changed the whole team at Southampton. I think now there's enough of a glimmer that he doesn't do that.
Yep.
And he will pick, again, subject to the recovery of the players, he will pick the strongest fit team, if you will. I think there will still be changes, but it's not going to be like a... I generally think he might have gone completely out with a B team if City had won yesterday.
7 goals is the goal difference, right?
The goal difference is highly unlikely to come into play. It's 4 points difference, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's if City draw at Villa.
How do they finish level on points? The only way they can finish level on points now is if Liverpool win 1 and draw 1 and City lose.
Right.
So that gives Liverpool 1 game to smash up the goal difference.
Yeah,
therefore.
So Liverpool really have to hope.
Goal difference isn't going to come into it.
No, Liverpool have to win both their games and just hope that City don't win their last game.
Exactly
Simple as that.
Exactly that.
Which is not out of the realms of possibility. Really not out of the realms of possibility, but yeah.
If Trent and Robertson are both no-shows, I've got another 1-pointer from Laporte, and then I get Nketiah as well. So I am covered off, but yeah. You've had a great week, haven't you?
Nice of you to say, sir.
Did you free hit or wild card?
Free hitted.
Free hit.
Free hit, because I wanted Trent and
So have you
and
activated your wild
Salah.
card?
No, I haven't activated my wild card yet.
Waiting for?
Oh, it's only one day. Get your pants on.
You could have got
most regular listeners will remember this time last week, you were halfway through telling me you were smashing me on your bench boost.
You could have got that Emerson Royal price rise last night and you missed it.
I didn't want Emerson Royal's price rise last night. I doubt highly if he'll be in my team come game week 38. But yeah, I'm on 72 and I've got 8 to go still. On Friday, I was looking at Harry. I wanted Harry Kane because I really thought you would do Burnley over. But if I had Harry Kane, then my second Leicester player to go alongside Vardy or Maddison was going to be Castagne, but it meant my other midfielder was going to be Jacob Ramsey as bench fodder, and I was playing Anthony Gordon basically. So I ended up not going with Castagne and taking Luca Dean, and then I just decided Vardy over 2 versus Kane in 1 with Luca Dean then was probably worth the risk. So that move of going Vardy over Kane and Dean over Castagne has obviously clearly paid off, and they've both still got another game to go now. So and it meant I was playing Maddison bench Gordon. So 72 points I'm happy with. Luca Dean's assist, Maddison and Vardy, I mean, they cleaned up 28 points between the two of them.
To be honest with you,
Richarlison captain 24 points.
I said this on the deadline stream when I saw your team. I loved it.
And
the team
also,
you picked. I mean, it's almost exactly what I'd have
fuck
gone
you
with.
and your Spurs, Sessegnon and Sanchez being my cheap. I'll just have them on the bench because they're cheap, but I think they'll do all right. 20 between them? 8 and a 12.
Sessegnon and Sanchez, 20 points.
20 points on the bench alongside Anthony Gordon's 2. Gordon's still got a game to play, but still, look, I wouldn't have started those two with the single game week, and who would have thought that they'd clean up to that extent? 20 points.
Who was your first sub? Gordon.
Anthony Gordon with the double,
yeah,
right?
Fair enough, yeah.
Although Everton decided that they wanted to do a Leeds and just pick up Reds yesterday. Here's an interesting question for you, James. Since you wildcarded in game week 35, including hits, so we're now 3 weeks in, albeit there is still half of this week left. Do you know how many points you have scored?
Oh, no.
Have a guess. 3 weeks. You could probably do the maths.
114 plus 44, 118, 158. What did I get in 35? I have no idea.
53.
There you go.
211 points.
Okay.
Since you wildcarded in game week 35, including hits, do you know how many points I have scored?
Exactly the same.
211.
Is that right?
Yes. Would you believe? I've actually scored 215, but I took a hit last week to sort my team out. You've still got 8 or 9 to go. I've still got 8 or 9 to go. But yeah, isn't that interesting that we're just exactly the same number of points? And we went quite different with our strategies in terms of teams and players that we had. Like
as discussed on Friday,
screwed by Chelsea last week.
If I picked the 3 different players, I'd have 88 extra points.
Yeah. If I'd have played Sanchez and Sessegnon, if and buts might be maybes.
Yeah, please about Davinson Sanchez.
Well, do you know what? It was. I picked him on because I knew he'd play because Romero obviously injured. So it wasn't like just picking the cheapest defender.
Is he?
4-2, mate.
Is he really?
Yeah, 4-2. So yeah, it's amazing that over that period, bang on, and we're both in the same position with wildcard. I've got wildcard, you got free hits. Basically the same thing this week, isn't it? Really, we've got the same amount to play with. So the divergence in strategy there didn't end up yielding anything particularly. Having said that, last week's variance was KDB captain as game mental.
Of course, be interesting. That is not we got to remember is that most of the listeners do not have a free hit chip for this particular game week.
Yeah.
Me and you are in an unlikely or an unusual position rather for where we're both at. I think, but the choice of players this week, I think, for those who like us do have it, is wide.
It is compared to where you might end up with.
Compared to this week, a lot of the teams look the same, right?
Yeah, where you could have. Really thought, okay, well, so relegation's still up for grabs at the moment. There's the 3 teams separated by 2 points. Top 4 still up for grabs between you and Arsenal. I mean, if they win It's still only 1 point, right? You still got to go and try and
It's going
win,
to the final, though.
for sure. And the title is more than likely going to the final day. And normally when those kind of things are tied up is when you get beach teams.
Don't forget your own big Europa League
Yeah,
battle
we still need to beat
Manchester United.
Brighton, and we need Palace to do us a favour and beat Manchester United, which they'll be up for. Selhurst Park, not easy.
If you win, a draw's all right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
After your draw yesterday.
If we win, a draw's okay as
Your
well.
goal difference
Our goal
is much
difference is 10 better than theirs. So barring a miracle, we should be okay. But conference was secured yesterday. I mean, then that's something better than nothing. Although hopefully we don't get kicked out without kicking a ball like you did.
Oh. To be honest, it was another, in hindsight, probably blessing for our season.
Yeah.
Because I don't doubt if we'd have gone far in the Conference League, we probably wouldn't have accumulated the points we have in the league, in fairness. And that wouldn't be a conversation now.
Yeah, I'm quite optimistic about the rest of this week. I think the Aston Villa Burnley game, I mean, Burnley needs to get something out of it, but hopefully Villa will pull something out of the bag, their home game. But Leicester, Chelsea. Leicester have hit a bit of form, right? Suddenly clicking. I'd be surprised if Brendan Rodgers then tears up the team.
Hold on, I don't think anybody beating Norwich and Watford is hitting form.
Sure, but they've still scored goals, right? And suddenly Vardy back in the mix, Maddison in amongst the assists, Barnes in amongst the assists over 2 games. It's like that's the trio that we wanted to be clicking all season, and they have. So if Rodgers takes them out of the team again on Thursday, I don't know why he would now this close in the season. Get them some rhythm and get some points on the board. And Everton at home to Palace now. After yesterday, again, they need to win, right? So I think that's put some added emphasis. I don't even know if they'll have 11 eligible players, mate, by this rate, Everton. But there's still hope, I think, in the second half of this double game week that I'll be able to do okay. The only thing that's looking me square between the eyes, like a Mike Tyson cross or jab, either or, is Liverpool on tomorrow. Because off the back of yesterday, I think they're going to go for it. But the only thing is they obviously had the extra time and what have you on. Yeah,
look, I spoke
Saturday.
about this a lot on Friday in the recovery
They're going to
stuff.
go for it.
Of course they are. They've got to.
They're going to go for it. And I don't own any. So that could hurt. That could potentially hurt.
It's not going to hurt massive. I mean, like Trent's EO is probably the lowest it's been since first couple weeks.
We know Southampton can do a job on these big teams when they press and they play with intensity.
They beat Liverpool last year.
Yeah. So as much
you never
as,
know what you're going to get with Southampton.
Nah, that's the thing, right? And I think they'll be quite up for it. But let's see. Let's talk about some of these games. Let's rattle through because I've been through the Twitter questions. There's some good ones in there today.
Before we do, did you watch the cup final?
Nah.
Brilliant.
I was out.
What a game.
At a school charity event and didn't watch it. Quite a few people there were like, watching the cup final. I was like, you know what, my team's not in it and I'm out here chilling. And also, let's talk about this before we get into the games. But yeah, I didn't watch it. Good game.
Great
Chelsea could have won, had great chances.
And the League Cup final between the two was brilliant as well. How those two games finished 0-0, I have no idea. I mean, Liverpool could have been out of sight in 10 minutes, but then Chelsea recovered and had their own chances the longer the game went on. Extra time, it was just walking wounded. They'd battered each other, had nothing left to give, basically, in extra time. And it was, we know we were out playing football. How hot was it? Saturday?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. I mean, we managed to get a training session in with the South team for Gameweek 39. If you are listening to this pod and you haven't heard about Gameweek 39, where have you been? Just search on Twitter, Gameweek 39, North v South. There's obviously a charity game. We're raising money for Street Child United, kit sponsored by the Mighty Planet FPL. James and I representing the South team, playing a team from the north of England, kind of roughly.
Which has got a few South players
honestly,
in it, just saying.
How good are the South? Like, if I was in the North team, based on that training session that we had, I'd be shitting myself. We've got some fucking players, mate.
I think we're shit.
James, you'd be a fucking shit football manager.
I'm joking. No, he's going to be great.
You'd be like you up against Alec Ferguson. He'd mind games the shit out of you. Come on, we got to play it properly. Yeah, there are some good players.
We're doing the mind games. You go for the we're going to batter them, and I'll go for the we've got no chance.
Me.
And that'll just confuse them.
Listen, they could go 4-0 up. James Drury will fucking knock them all out with his right hook, man. He's like 3 human beings worth. But there's some good players in the team. It was great to get out. Shout out to Nima's FPL meets and all of those guys for coming out as well.
Yeah, brilliant guys.
2 hours in the sunshine, playing in the heat, not easy. But I'm really looking forward to the game in a couple of weeks. So if you haven't heard anything about it, then head over to Twitter and Gameweek 39 and donate a little bit of money. Why don't you? Because it's all going to charity. Of course, there'll be content from that live afterwards. If you're in the Birmingham area, you can buy a ticket and come and watch the game. I don't think it will be a bad game. I think it'll be quite decent.
I think if you want to come though, you have to buy the tickets in advance.
You
can't
can't
just
buy them
show
on
up
the door
on the day.
Yeah, so do that. Hopefully we'll be able to get Benny Blanco on the show before the end of the before that to try and see if we can figure it out.
I'll ask Benny, shall I?
No, well, we need to help promote it and get out there. So yeah, that's all good. Let's talk about these games from the weekend. Starting with yours that kicked off at 12 o'clock, 1-0. Was it a penalty? Was it a harsh penalty? I don't even know what happened.
Harsh. It's really, really harsh.
Okay.
But by letter of law, it technically is correct. But it feels wrong. Like, one of the reasons I'm a bit hoarse, yes, the game stressed me out, but I went out drinking with Jack all fucking day afterwards.
Okay. I saw one photograph. I didn't know you were on the piss all day.
Yeah, Jack at Turfy Topper was down with his dad. We went out on the piss all day.
Nice.
After the game. And... why am I talking about that?
It's why you're hoarse. It's why
I'm talking about
the penalty.
Something to do with the handball.
The penalty. You said it's harsh, but it's a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's what I was saying. Was talking to Jack and was saying, like, the punishment again. The punishment feels too strong for the crime. I mean, it's not even a crime. Clearly, Ashley Barnes' arm is out away from his body, so it is in unnatural position. That's the bit that makes it, by law, technically the correct decision. But the penalty for this feels so harsh. So harsh. We were talking about like the Cresswell red card on one of our pods last week when he got sent off in Frankfurt. And it's like, by law, and if it happened in the last minute, you go, he has to get sent off. Because it's early in the game, it feels too harsh. I feel like this is one of them, and I don't know if it's worth considering. Accidental handball that ends up in a penalty, it just feels too much. I wonder if it should be considered for it to be indirect free kicks.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking exactly that as you were talking about it. The problem here, James, is that players will just say, I didn't mean it. Like, you never mean to have. It's very hard to prove intent. That's the thing. It's very hard to prove intent.
That 100% is not intentional.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
I don't disagree with you about that one. I just think if you look at all cases, there will be situations where there'll be a grey area. And I mean, we have a lot of grey areas in football already. I get that. Do we want to add another one?
No.
It's difficult. I get it.
Yeah.
But look, you got the job done. So you've given yourself a 2-point cushion over Arsenal at the moment.
Anyone who follows me on Twitter will know teams came up and I went, oh no, again. When I saw the Burnley team, I was like, shit. They're going back 5. Me and Jack with DM, and Jack said he thinks he's probably still a back 4. Thought Roberts would maybe play on the right and midfield. Nope, sure enough, was a back 5. It was a 5-3-2. They played Lowton left-sided centre-back. Collins played in the middle of the back 3. Obviously, Tarkowski didn't make it. Kevin Long played. Nathan Collins, if they go down, someone will pick him up. So he's really good. He's a proper... He steps out with the ball.
Nice.
Really good player, actually. McNeil played in the midfield 3 with Brownhill and Cork, and what that enabled, regular listeners will know, I talk about the spacing problems between defence and midfield a lot. It meant that Cork could play a little bit deeper. So that didn't become, when the rare occasions we actually had counter-attacks, that wasn't so much of a problem for them because Cork was sitting off deeper than the other two. Barnes is an absolute pest. I never want to see him again.
Yeah, he's an annoying player.
Yeah, do you know what? Listen, he does a great job for them. He's aggressive, he's physical. Players are intimidated by him. They know he's going to smash people up in the air. He's kind of rare. He's a little bit old school from that perspective. Cornet didn't do a lot in the game. He had one big chance in the first half, which Lloris saved. But he's just the fact that he has that pace threat in behind, as opposed to they had against Villa, Weghorst and Barnes. You just squeeze the game because you know they're not going to go in behind. Whereas Cornet had that threat. And it meant the longer the game went on and the longer it stayed 1-0, Tottenham got deeper and deeper and deeper, couldn't squeeze the game. The result, reflecting on it the next morning, is better than what it felt at the time because, honestly, I was shitting myself at the end of that game. I'm not joking. was far more nervous watching that than I was watching the end of the game away to Liverpool the week before. Because it just only has to drop in the box and something can happen, right?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're thinking.
But there was obviously a lot in the build-up about Kulusevski being ill, which is why he didn't start. Loris apparently was really ill as well.
Okay.
Sounds like Loris probably shouldn't have played, but he was like, no, I'm going to play. He wasn't well at all, apparently. Non-COVID, obviously. So with that, and then you reflect on, obviously, Thursday night became easier than what anybody anticipated, and it's probably just as well, because they were out on their feet at the end of that game.
So you've got a week to recover. Norwich, final day of the season. Definitely you want a bit of Spurs for that. But then it's a last home game for Norwich. They want to do a little bit. I'm thinking, Son and Kane definitely for me. Particularly Sonny, he's still in there with a shout at the Golden Boot unless Salah scores 3 or 4 tomorrow. But I might add the third Spurs as Sessegnon. Reguilon's out. He's been playing all right. He's a cheap price and it's enabled. And I don't see Norwich scoring, even if they want to try to. You will want to, against Norwich, put it to bed. Not even look and check at what the Arsenal score is. Basically, win your game. Because a draw's not ideal. So just win your game. Draw won't help you, will it?
If Arsenal lose tonight, a draw's enough.
Okay.
With 2 points clear. Better goal difference.
If you drew against Norwich, for example.
Yeah, what's the difference in goal difference between the two?
No, ridiculous, 13 or something. So, but put it this way, you're just going to go to Norwich and say, let's put this to bed. That's the mentality and mindset. It's win our game, 3, 4s, 5s, whatever, and then whatever happens in Arsenal, we have no control over.
Look, as I've said several times, Tottenham are a better team basically without the ball in terms of setting up. It's not suitable for Tottenham to dominate play. One of the interesting things, we'll probably talk about it a little bit briefly, Norwich played a back 5 yesterday. I'm like, oh no, again, honestly, because it is giving us problems. It's given us problems when teams play this way against us. So the game might not be as straightforward as everybody thinks. And interestingly, obviously, for Norwich, if they do win, they'll probably finish 19th rather than 20th. Yeah. Because Watford go to Chelsea. I mean, Watford look even more shot than Norwich at the moment, actually. Norwich
is still plucky. Villa 1, Palace 1.
Before we do, just on Sonny, listen, yesterday, Kane obviously got the goal. Son had 2.
It's a penalty, right? So
but
Kane takes penalties.
Son had a couple of efforts in the second half. Easily could have been the other way round. Same as every week. It's like, which one? It could be either. For me and you, it's probably
both.
Go and get both probably this week. But who would you intend to captain?
Sonny.
Judging by the EO numbers yesterday,
out of the 2 of them, Sonny. It doesn't mean it will be Son. So I could pick a Liverpool player or something else. You know what I mean?
Judging by the EO, yes, obviously you don't have to do it, but I think it's looking like Son is going to be huge this week from a captaincy perspective. Anybody playing it safe is probably captain Son.
Yep. I mean, Norwich, not safe. It's not a safe pick. It's a sensible pick more than anything else.
No, I just mean in terms of the ownership, he's going to be massive. I mean, he was
not doing a late riser.
I didn't think his EO would be above 100% this week, and it was.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's with other players having a double. What's he going to be on Sunday? With Salah out, if he's still out. I mean, that's the only thing that's going to change it, isn't it? Is obviously if Salah's back, I guess.
Villa Palace 1-1. Luca Dean owners. I mean, you were nudging me towards Luca Dean, and I appreciate because as a assist and a bonus point. No, he didn't. He got 1 bonus point in the end. Yeah, it was decent.
You're welcome.
Now going into the final week, Palace have got United at home, but with other games around, I don't particularly have any interest in Palace.
I feel like I pushed into Vardy and Maddison as well.
Nah, you'd back your boy Kane all day long. But Villa obviously have City at home. Away. Is it at the Etihad? So that's obviously a difficult game to want to have any Villa, but some people have gone on Villa for the double, and maybe thinking about coming off.
And it's the same problem with Everton assets as well.
All I would say is if they have to play Fernandinho at centre back again, and Ollie Watkins decides that he's sensible and does what Antonio did and pin against Fernandinho, he will have some joy against him, hold up play, turning him, what have you, because he's not a centre-back. And he got a lot of trouble yesterday. So if you had to end up holding an Ollie Watkins, I suppose is my point, for that game, because you've got other fires, it's not the worst problem to have if City have to play Fernandinho.
No, and the same applies to Richarlison away to Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
Like if you have, obviously a lot have gone. I feel like mainly free hitters have gone Danny Ings. There will be some who've obviously bought him as well, but those who have Richarlison and the two Villa forwards, yeah, look, they could get beat 5-1 and your man might score.
Yeah,
right? So
yeah. I think I'm not really bothered about keeping Villa defensive. I think City are going to clean up in terms of goals.
You're not going to play
that. The two that I had on free hit, Cash and Dino, are going to be gone. And I'm not really looking at Palace. I think, even though I think Palace have got a great chance of doing Manchester United. United will be quite cold. They haven't played for ages.
The reality is, though, those who have Villa assets, I think particularly, because Everton might not be safe by the time Sunday comes around, so it still feels like there's something on it for them. I think those who've got Villa assets are probably going to feel compelled to be taking hits to move them out.
Yeah, and just I don't mind that on the defensive ones.
If you're sitting there with Watkins and Richarlison, the reality is, or Ings and Richarlison, the reality is you do not want to look at your final FPL team of the season and look at Arsenal away, City away for your front.
I get that. I think if you're moving Watkins on for a -4, I don't mind. If it's for a -8, just double check it, because suddenly you need him to really make up get any kind of return. And I don't think it's the worst. We had some joy against City, which we can talk about in a bit. But I think it's all down to what they have and who he trots out as centre back. I mean, Aki might be fit by then, so then that changes the perspective a little bit.
So they did go with obviously the two up front. Gerrard had said on Friday, he said that if Watkins trains tomorrow, fine, and he comes through it, fine, he'll play. And my perspective on it was, because I obviously thought about taking the hit to move it to Ings. My perspective on it was, well, if he's this close to being fit, he's definitely going to be fit for Burnley, which is the game I'm more bothered about anyway from that perspective. Is it justifiable to take the hit? And of course he could play anyway. It wasn't like he's been out for 3 weeks. He'd missed 2 days worth of training, so there was no match fitness issue or anything like that. And we know Gerrard has a preference for Ollie Watkins, I think. Jacob Ramsey didn't start, but probably does on Thursday. I know Ezri Konsa potentially picked up, and that would possibly be a blow for them going into Sunday, especially. Callum Chambers presumably would deputise if that sticks. Interestingly, Palace changed systems, Suj. Played a back three. Cheikh Kouyaté played as a part of a back three. Gahey was fit and did make it, which is interesting. I saw a lot of free hit teams knocking about with Joachim Anderson either starting or on the bench. And I think everyone went that way because Gahey had the yellow flag, whereas it would have been more of a split. And of course, Gahey obviously ends up with the assist. Yeah, they played a back three, which meant obviously Zaha played a further forward role, which we've been speculating might happen ahead of the Watford fixture because Vieira had been talking about playing Zaha essentially. And of course, Mateta did start. I'm sure there's a few moved him on. But they've got another chance against Everton on Sunday to get returns, and I wouldn't dismiss Palace players from still getting returns on Thursday. To be honest, I think they might go to Everton and win.
Leeds 1, Brighton 1. Leeds then obviously put themselves out of the relegation zone.
I had to break the poor news to Jack, didn't I? Sitting next to him. He was watching your game in the pub. Yeah. And I was like, Jack, they've scored, man.
Oh, no.
And then my mate Richie is on the next day. He goes, yeah, tell him Leeds have scored. I was like, leave it, pipe down.
At least Leeds didn't get themselves a player sent off in this game, breaking the hoodoo and the trend. Look, getting a draw against Brighton in the form that Brighton are in and the form that Leeds are in, I think is a great result for Leeds. Puts them psychologically out of the relegation zone, despite that game in hand. You've still got to win your games in hand, as you will feel against the Gooners. And they go into last day of the season with a very difficult game against Brentford, who won yesterday. So I just don't know which way this is swinging. I think after Thursday,
I think it was a huge goal because I don't think they'll get anything at Brentford. So I really think they're relying on Burnley.
They could stay up without winning another point.
Well, if Burnley lose twice, Burnley are gone, haven't they?
Yeah, so this is just jeopardy goal. Time. But I don't think Burnley will lose both games.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't think they get anything at Villa Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll stick without the back three. I think they did that specifically for Tottenham, so they might revert to where they were. And if they do, you might find Coutinho or Buendia / whoever plays, or if both play, have some joy in that fixture. the assist from Gelhardt. Wow.
Yeah, I only
what an
caught,
assist.
one replay on the highlights reel, but
mate, to do that under that
skill.
pressure that late in the game, phenomenal. Brilliant moment for him. They did obviously revert to a back four leads. They are walking wounded themselves. I mean, you have to look at their
walking
bench.
suspended as well.
Walking suspended as well. Pascal Struijk came on as a late sub, obviously got the back post header in. Brighton had chances to finish the game off, didn't. It's obviously not a big deal for them. Their season is inconsequential now. They'll obviously still give you a game final day. If it's sneaky, that could be quite high scoring actually, Suj, yourselves at Brighton final day.
Yeah, I think so too.
I could see you winning 3-2 or something like that.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think so. I think it'll be a decent game. Like, I'm looking forward to it. Last day of the season, I think it's going to be a good game of football to watch. As much as you want your team to win, it's going to be a good game to watch.
That said, I wouldn't. I don't think I'll be having Brighton players on a free hit this week. I don't think Leeds.
Neither.
No, I wouldn't look at it and go, "Oh my God, they've got something to play for." I'm going to go with Rafinha. Like, I'm not. I'm more likely to go with a Brentford player, like Tonys and Ericssons and stuff. Even the defensive guys wouldn't be out of my thoughts for the free hit this week. Potentially as enablers, I wouldn't discount them at all. Actually.
No, Watford won Leicester 5. Watford we can kind of sort of discount as well going into they're done and dusted.
I wouldn't discount them. We might all be captaining a Chelsea player by the time Sunday comes around.
Discount Watford players in your team. But Leicester, like I said, have scored goals, and it's the Maddison, Barnes, Vardy would be the three that we would like to do well. Barnes now, 3 assists in the last 2 games. Vardy's popped up with his goals, Maddison goal and assist. So they play Southampton at home on the last day of the season, and obviously Southampton nothing to play for. Home game, I wouldn't discount Leicester, 1 or 2 Leicester making it.
Well, those who have bought into Leicester, Maddison, Barnes, Vardy, Schmeichel, Castagna, whatever. Schmeichel, you might want some more information because if Ward plays again on Thursday and that's your only keeper, you're probably a bit nervous about that for final day. But the others, yeah, you hold them because chances are you've got signed Everton or Villa that you want to bin instead, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I'll be in on Leicester for Sunday, though. I feel like I want to squeeze in Tottenham and Chelsea quite a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
The chances are I want to squeeze in 6 from them, I think, for the final day. Then once you think of Liverpool City, if it goes to final day and stuff as well, suddenly, that's it.
Yeah, there's
potentially. And you're looking more, like with Leicester, do you go with someone like Fofana? Yeah, maybe to sit on the bench and stuff. Like, no.
But even if you think like West Ham, Brighton's going to be high scoring, like Bowen, you'd want to consider.
Yeah,
him.
Jared Bowen, I would
such
definitely consider.
Form.
I mean, I would probably for Sunday, I'd go Bowen over Maddison, for example, for this coming week.
Yeah,
Bowen's not in anyone's team.
No.
And what's he done since like when you and I wildcarded? Goal against Arsenal, 3 assists at Norwich, 2 goals again yesterday. How many points over the last 3 weeks, Jared Bowen?
6 plus 13 plus 14, so that's 27, 33 points in 3 weeks, mate. And he's on form as well.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, he's had a great
Watford are so far gone, mate. This is the thing as well, in seriousness for this week. One of the main reasons not to do an early transfer this week is once Chelsea play Leicester Thursday, you might have your mind made up on someone for Sunday.
Yeah.
From Chelsea. That's why I can't really commit to what my 11 will be, because Thursday might spook me and I'll go, I haven't got a clue like what's happening. But certain things like Havertz missed the final because he's got a hamstring injury. So you feel like they've really kind of puts Mount. Pulisic has suddenly stepped up recently where it feels like he's
Lukaku's been all right recently as well.
Lukaku. I wonder if he does well on Thursday, I think there might be a late gamble where a lot of people captain him Sunday.
Lukaku.
Not a lot, but people looking for a differential captain. Like if Watford turn up at Chelsea with the same team they played yesterday, with all these players absent and stuff, and if Chelsea pick a strong team, Chelsea will win about 5-6-0. They will destroy them, yeah.
West Ham United 2, Manchester City 2. Desmond, and probably a score. I mean, many predicted a draw, but you wouldn't. I don't know if you'd have.
It's a fair result. I was watching the second half, but I wasn't, if it makes sense.
So I have to firstly, if Liverpool win the title, send my commiserations to Anthony Taylor, because he'll be sitting at home particularly upset about that situation. Was it a fair result?
Hold on. I don't know what's happened to you recently. Do you not think that's a penalty?
No, it's not about that. It's about it's a penalty. It's the overall game. Do you know, it's the inconsistency of it. It's the 50-50s that he was giving City's way. Like, City fall over, and because they're lightweight, you feel like it's a foul. Antonio, being that he's 3 times a normal human being, if it's a 50-50...
He shouldn't be falling over, should he?
You don't give him a foul. It's the inconsistency of it was disappointing. Antonio, one-on-one, takes on a player, last man in, foul, free kick given, fine. Bowen does the classic, exactly the same on the other end, which is actually the classic City foul. Good on you. He was blatantly knew he was doing it. And it's a yellow card. It's the inconsistency, James, that was really frustrating on both ends of the pitch. Now, I get it. Like, City will have more of the ball and more chances, but the way they go over, because they're all fairies and lightweight. But anyway, Anthony Taylor can take a jump. The first half, we restricted them to very few good quality. They didn't have very many good chances in the first half. They had a couple of shots, but they were getting the ball wide and then trying to bring it in narrow and then create something out of it. But we defended really well, and they just couldn't. And when we had the out ball, we did really well. Antonio gave Fernandinho, like I said, a very difficult time. Bowen was finding space and getting in behind and took his 2 goals fantastically well. Those 2 finishes are the finishes of a striker in form. But City at City, right? They're still going to keep the ball. In the second half, Fabianski had to make a ton of saves, of varying degrees of difficulty, but they were decent saves that needed to be made. And I think in the second half, City did a much better job of switching the play left to right a lot quicker. In the first half, Grealish versus Soufal was really the game that they were trying to get going. But in the second half, they were like, actually, let's target Cresswell a bit more and switch it to the right a little bit more. And we're creating, and conceding 5 minutes into the second half, we were like, here we go again. I think a draw was a fair result. Because we did really well in the first half. They're always going to dominate possession. They're always going to dominate chances. But we still had chances in the second half. We can still break on them. And this is why I think, like, last day of the season, they need to win to win. And if they score early and get ahead, then they fucking steamroller teams. But they couldn't against us. And if Villa can be solid defensively and pin Watkins against Fernandinho and try and get in behind, there's a game to be had there. I mean, I still expect City to probably win because win is the title. But there's a game to be had there. The team did really well, defended really well, bodies on the line type stuff in situations, pace and on the break, trying to get in behind and cause troubles. A draw, fair result. City will feel disappointed that they didn't win, especially because they had the penalty, and in the second half, Fabianski had to make a few saves. That's standard against City.
You missed chances. I mean, the Antonio chip.
Oh, mate. Everyone's the second half one.
Brilliant. It was like the Bowen deflected shot that went wide in the second half. So it was like such a trademark West Ham move with Souček's run to the back post and stuff. So you had your moments as well. Looking at the XG, if you remove the penalty, it slightly favours them, but
and
it looks like a draw was about.
Yeah, right. It's going to. I mean, buzzing for the performance, to be honest with you, because there was so much razzmatazz. People that said Noble's last game. You're kind of worried that.
Oh my God!
Are we gonna get distracted?
Mark Noble's kid,
his son.
Yeah,
is a spitting image of him.
My God!
Listen,
it's ridiculous.
Do you know what?
Poor kid.
Okay, and this is going to blow your mind, right? It's the first time I heard this. It did. You got a guy from East London, born and bred in Canning Town. What are you going to name your son? Lenny.
Is that his boy's name? Is called Lenny.
And you're just like, if you're a geezer from East London, what are you going to name your son? Lenny. That's it. Lenny Nobles is his boy.
Like, he was such a spit. It was one of them you could imagine. He drags him along after. Oh, this is my son. I can fucking see that, mate. That's absolutely obvious, mate.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it in Tottenham and what have you for the patrons later in the week. I just think, West Ham, obviously we've got goals in. We've scored in every home game this season. It's nice to see. We know what we need to do against Brighton. Bowen is in some form. I think free hit, my wildcard / free hit. Let's just call it a free hit. I'm going to be picking
7.
12 goals, 17 assists for the season.
His price is 7.
He is 6.8, mate.
Oh yeah, I think he's going to go in.
11.8% owned. 29 attacking returns for the season. that's a great return, and he's had a great season.
Classic case, and actually, no one's to blame for. I know nearly all of you. Some of you will obviously have him, but the majority of people don't have him. And you're not to blame yourself, because remember as well, at the time you were making your transfers and stuff, you're looking
doubles,
at it going...
Europa League potentially,
exactly,
all that stuff.
So you had, the Europa League on top of the no doubles. I think we obviously can get blinded by the doubles, and you did have Norwich in 36.
Yeah.
But none of us had a clue if he'd even play or not. Right? So you're not to blame for not having him, but I think for those looking for a transfer this week, look, most are probably going to head, I think, towards Tottenham or Chelsea this weekend. Don't discount Jared Bowen.
Yeah, City, I'll keep Cancelo. It's just because of his attacking threat. I'm not bothered at all about extra defenders. The midfield and attack, we're at the same problem here, as always. Like, you don't know where to go. It could be anyone. Grealish was getting a lot of time on the ball. Mahrez, they're trying to find him. Zinchenko overlapping.
I couldn't believe that Foden didn't play. Which I don't know why I couldn't believe that Foden didn't play. But I was really surprised.
But then they've got such wealth of talent there. I'm going to have a City attacker this week, and I'll probably just go De Bruyne because he's the safest and the most explosive. But I think it might just be
the most expensive.
Yeah, it might just be Cancelo and De Bruyne for me from City.
I mean, what is that again? No subs yesterday. I was trying to think, like, did anyone come on and just check? No subs again yesterday. What is that?
I'm not sure. Like that, as good as they weren't like battering us, because defensively, the thing is, with Dawson and Zuma, you're going to get no nonsense defending. Difficult game for them. I think they really felt it at the end of it, and really proud of the team actually and the way they stuck at it and put a performance in. But I think, from an FPL point of view, Bowen is the only West Ham player that I'll be looking at. Cancelo, De Bruyne really from City, unless you fancy being fruity and taking a punt on a Foden or a cheaper player, which I don't mind at all, because any one of them at any moment could just pop off.
Yeah, I think Foden would be the one still around that value. Obviously, he's in my squad at the moment. He may stay there. I don't think so. I could see me having Josh Cancelo this week, I think.
Yeah. Wolves 1, Norwich 1. Plucky Norwich were leading, mate. So all these people that think they haven't got a bit of fight, they obviously went there, and Pookie could have done the business a week earlier when we had the bench boost and all that going on, but didn't. Although Aït-Nouri comes back and gets the equaliser for Wolves, but that's it. They can't get European football now. So all of our patrons that ask each and every week in our Q&A when we're going to talk about Wolves for Europe, about a year from now, maybe.
Do you want to go Angus Gunn in goal this week?
Yeah, sure.
It's 4 million.
As my bench keeper, sure.
Yeah, it's better than Foster now, isn't it? To be honest, I think probably gets more points than Foster this week.
Well, anyway, it's going to be close. -2 versus -1, maybe.
He's obviously played the last two now. He's made a few good saves in both of them, so I think he probably will play actually final day against Tottenham. Wolves, just nowhere. The reports over the weekend as well that any money they spend in the summer is going to kind of come off the back of players they sell. So there's a lot of speculation now about Neves possibly leaving and stuff. The fans have lost the momentum that Bruno Lage had built up. It's certainly going to be stale. I think when he came in, we thought he wanted to play a back four, and I'm surprised that we haven't really seen it much since he's obviously come into the job, and their season's obviously been gone for a while. I wonder if that's how they'll start next season, to give themselves a bit of freshness as go towards a back four.
Look, Leicester battered Norwich 3-0. We battered them 4-0. Villa battered them 2-0. Newcastle battered them 3-0. That's their previous 4 games. So they're there to be had. And Wolves are obviously 8th on merit. So you'd expect them to be able to do at least what Leicester, West Ham can do to Norwich, and they didn't.
Yeah,
they played Liverpool in the last day of the season.
Yeah, but then in fairness, as I already said, Norwich did change system yesterday, and that might have caught them a bit by surprise. And
still be beating them though.
Yes, you should. But the same applies to us, obviously, on Sunday. But it is, if Norwich are going to go back 3 against us, and I suspect they will, having now done this, then that's going to be it's definitely more difficult for us if they're playing a back 5 than a back 4. Absolutely no doubt about it at the weekend. So they brought Gibson back into the team, played left of the back 3. Dean Smith's kind of, since he made the big cock up at United, he's not used him. It seems like he's been doing everything not to use him. He came back in yesterday. So they played Hanley and Byram. Aarons and Jan Newlis played as the wing backs. And they played Lys Melu and Dow behind Pookie. They're a bit short in numbers at the moment, Norwich, and that might be partly why this has come in terms of has it been enforced. But I think they'll stick with that. And it definitely doesn't put me off going like Son and Kane on the free hit. Like I probably will, and I probably will go for probably Sessegnon as well, I think.
Yeah, same as me.
But I am conscious that if they line up like that, I don't think we're going there and winning 4 or 5-0. I think it will be.
But you are probably winning 2-0.
There's every chance, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everton 2, Brentford 3 to wrap the games up. I mean, I was listening to this in the car on the way home from our game, and it just sounded like a car crash towards the end. Everton getting themselves players sent off, 2 goals in a minute. Well, one's gone down as an own goal. But
it was the red card was really unfortunate for a couple of reasons. One, it was similar to the Cresswell in Frankfurt, where the punishment feels too big for what's happened. And arguably, in the same move, Everton should have had a penalty. Richarlison he's got a little bit of, I think it was Ajer he was going with, but Ajer's got the shirt like off.
His shoulders sticking out. This is crazy.
It's a penalty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really? And I know, admittedly, then Everton got a soft one later on, but then Sorensen was on a yellow, and he didn't get the second yellow, and I felt that was fairly automatic, actually. So there were certain things which I don't doubt Evertonians are certainly going to feel this morning like went against them. Because even if they'd have got that penalty, then obviously he's not sent off and the game's different and stuff. Brentford deserving winners for what happened on the football pitch afterwards, but then you would expect that with the man advantage. Norgard really good in midfield. Obviously, Visser was heavily involved in what happened. Obviously, the own goal and his brilliant flicked header for the second. Rico Henry was able to play so high, obviously, because of Everton being a man short. Calvert-Lewin's interview after the game was quite telling, I thought. He deadpanned the camera when it was like, look, it's still in your hands because they need, 2 points, don't they? But effectively, the draw yesterday and then the draw against Palace would have been better rather than you don't want to draw these next 2 because it's still going to final day. But the way he deadpanned the camera was like, yeah, we have to win Thursday. As in he's saying, I don't think we're getting anything on Sunday. Which means, obviously, that Arsenal players are going to be certainly considerable for the weekend as well, aren't they? Saka's similar value to Bowen, isn't he? And Ketcher's cheap as, and probably going to force you to run naked through Barnet, mate. Everton players are been a ball, obviously, I think. Subject to what your problems, but like, can Richarlison score at the Emirates if you've got the likes of Gordon and stuff? He's just going back on the bench, isn't he? I suppose.
Yeah.
So it depends where you're at and what you've got.
Move.
It depends how many of them you've got. I think there will be someone who's listening to this is sitting there going, Jesus, I've got 6 players from Everton Villa. My bus team don't look great now, and that's what I meant about you're probably going to feel inclined, particularly I think the Villa ones more because their value, inclined to move them on for hits. I think Everton will stay up, but I think Everton will stay up because of
other results
others rather than them. Rondon's challenge was bloody horrendous as well. We've seen some awful red cards lately. That one really could have damaged Rico Henry. The connection was not good at all. Brentford, I think, will beat Leeds on Sunday, and I would not discount Brentford assets from my free hit either, Suj.
Yeah, just because they offer good value, right? Yeah. At the end of the day, if you're looking for a cheaper striker to fill in the third slot. I think
as well, like the big boys at the back, like Ajer and Janssen and stuff, like Leeds have got a problem from set pieces, I think. It's well documented for a long time. So, look, you're looking for a 15-point final day. I wouldn't rule out the big Brentford centre-halves, Ajer and Janssen.
Nice. Good. That's a wrap on the games. Obviously, we've got more games still to go this week. 4 of them, 5 of them, 6 of them. So it's 2, 1, 2.
5 to go.
5.
We'll be back on Friday.
Yeah, and deal with all of that, and obviously get ourselves set for the weekend. We will get through all of these. Well, I say all of these questions. We might have to double up on some of them. Do you want to give us an announcement on what we got left for the rest of the week?
Not really. Tomorrow, People's Poll. The vote is live now. You have a choice of 3 options up until around about 5 o'clock today. The 3 options in the People's Poll vote are Best of Season awards, best goal, Manager of the Year, Player of the Year, Worst Miss, bit of comedy. club player of the year. So we'll pick our player of the year from each of the 20 Premier League clubs, or we'll pick a team of the season of non-Big Six teams. So there'll be a few West Ham players we've talked about. So
No
pick
doubt.
one that option. Those are your three options. The vote at the moment is very close between those three options. Wednesday is Sky Fantasy Football. I'm not saying that Suj didn't set a captain yesterday, but Suj didn't set a captain yesterday. It's not like you're going for manager of the month, though, is it?
Nah, don't worry about it.
Thursday's clash of the correspondents is Norwich versus Tottenham with FPL Badger and Ricky Saunders. We'll be back on Friday. Our Patreon podcast this week. Q&A today. Tuesday, you can tell them what we're doing tomorrow.
Rebecca Vardy versus Colleen Rooney. Do you know what? I haven't actually done that much research on it yet, but
You want to, though.
Yeah, I keep getting snippets of what they're talking about without the whole bigger picture. So there's like some issue about she got some photographers to take some photos, and you're like, all right, photographers take photos. So I need to know the story behind why that's actually a big issue or a problem. I'm sure YouTube's got plenty of shit on it. So
yeah, we're going to be talking.
We're going to be talking to my missus. She's into
chipolatas and all sorts on that podcast tomorrow. Wednesday is Tottenham.
Lovely.
Which might be quite interesting, subject to whatever the Arsenal result is tonight. Thursday will be a quiz. This week's theme, Suj, is going to be who got the assist. I'm going to give you a goal from this season. You've got to tell me who got the assist. I'll probably do 50 for you, mate. Friday will be our final differential show of the season, Gameweek 38 preview.
Okay. Right, I'm going to go in no particular order. I'm going to try and get through as many as I can that I think are worth covering, and there might be the odd one that I won't. Jury's in legend. What's the best prank you have ever played or been played on you? I have to think about this. I'm definitely sure I've played a few, and I'm definitely interested in I'm sure I've had a few played on me. My kids love pranks, but they're always, their pranks are not any good yet.
The funniest one was it wasn't me. I don't think doing things like that. I know it's going to come. I'm going to get a slap. I don't think of doing things like that. The Paul Gascoigne one's the funniest one, where it was someone's car and he left a fish in the car.
Okay.
I think we might have been Gordon Jury.
And it stank out. It started rotting and
so
he couldn't find it.
He'd hidden it, right? But underneath in the boot, underneath, he'd hid another one.
So took the first one, the smell still was there.
The smell's still there a week or so later, and he's like, hang on, but there's still another fish in there, isn't
it? Right. Al Bissimo. Is it a must to put mushy peas with fish and chips? I'm not a fan of peas. No, it's not a must. Ali, you can have fish and chips without peas. However, James and listeners, you should all know that with every meal, it's you should be having 240 grams of salad or vegetables, which is, from what I've been told, 3 handfuls worth of green things. So you should be eating your peas, Ali.
Okay, great.
Mushy? Not mushy?
No.
Just standard.
I
don't mind them either which way. But if you have mushy peas...
My son likes peas, and I don't know why.
Because they taste nice.
Mushroom, you won't eat any other veg.
Peas are good, but pea soup is also nice. But if you have mushy peas, the trick is whacking a very small amount of mint sauce. Crushed minty peas. Okay, lovely.
Mate. Thanks for the tip.
Would you rather have no knees or no elbows? Bouncy castle.
God. No elbows.
No elbows. I think I could live life like this, but imagine walking.
You wouldn't. Your arms would be by your side, presumably, wouldn't they?
You can lift them up, can't you? You can do things like you just have to do things at a distance. Whereas walking, that's fucking. No, you walk like a penguin your whole life. That's
be funny fighting, wouldn't it?
What?
No elbows.
Should we do that as a
swinging your arms?
Should we do that as a challenge one day?
What?
You know, like.
Have a fight.
The videos on YouTube, like we're lucky if we get a few thousand views or whatever. People doing dumb stuff, right? So, get a wooden splint and just tape it, and just have to live your day with your arms like this. I mean, it's what happens when people break bones or whatever.
Why am I going to do that to myself?
For views on YouTube. Why do people do this dumb stuff? Why TikTok for views on TikTok? That's pointing at Nico because he's young and he does TikTok. No elbows. No elbows is the answer to that question.
Yes, definitely no elbows.
No elbows. SC Jank, do you follow rugby league? No.
Hang on. There's a problem with the no elbows. Are you eating?
drink my food through a straw.
How you eating?
Yeah, that's a problem. You're right.
Yeah, that is an issue, isn't it?
An emperor like you, James, I'm sure you get fed.
Still no elbows, by the way, is the answer.
SC Jank, do you follow rugby league? No. I mean, I know St Helens and Wigan and Warrington and these are the teams, but I don't really follow it. Do you?
Nah.
No. If not, do any of your FPL mates follow rugby league?
Nah.
Unfortunately, not that I know of in any way, shape or form.
We ain't got any FPL mates either.
No. Right. FPL hoofed God.
Nice.
What's your biggest FPL regret of the season?
I don't know. Well, I don't really regret. I spoke about this a lot on Friday's pod. Havertz.
I'm going to say the same, right?
Fucker, Havertz.
Twice he's done me.
But it was the right decision. They won 7-0.
It was, yeah. But also, and the thing is, the second time I got him in was most recently, and I moved Sonny on, and then Sonny went mental. Like, I think the thing is, my regret now is really focuses around the tried and trusted are always decent. There's a handful of players in this game that are tried and trusted that. And when you talk about a certain player, and when you use the sentence after you talk about them, if you sell them, you know what could happen, then you know you probably shouldn't be selling them because they always inevitably over a 4 or 5 game window will come back and hurt you. The Salahs of the world. Bruno's yours. Yeah,
another one.
How
very
can that
recently.
Not be?
Yeah, I mean, I've got him in basically for Salah. And then held off and held him in, and Watson, and then obviously, did I still have him for the Arsenal game? I think I did, didn't I? Then obviously I wildcarded, because the Arsenal game was a double, wasn't it? Arsenal and Chelsea, and he missed the fucking pen, didn't he? Should have got sent off as well. He should have finished on bloody minus that week. Think back to game week 1, essential Bruno Fernandes shows how the game can change, doesn't it?
Question coming in. This is back to our more food related questions. But first, before I answer that question, I have to, James, do you know what a poutine is? No, not the Russian.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Poutine is a food item.
Is this with an E on the end?
Yeah. Do you know what a poutine is? Poutin. Okay. Well, the question. Where is it? Let's have a look here. Sorry, listeners, for bearing with me. Pilot Flame says, what's your favourite topping on a poutine, apart from the gravy and cheese curds? Mine is pulled pork. So, James, a poutine is a dish of French fries and cheese curds topped with brown gravy. It emerged in Quebec in the late 1950s. So, chips with cheese and gravy, topped with what?
Sorry, sounds shit.
Nah. Cheesy chips with gravy.
I started all this with gravy stuff, mate, on chips.
I'm going to take Pilot Flame.
Gravy's for the roast dinner on a Sunday, and that's it.
I'm going to take your word for it. That pulled pork is good on a poutine, but I've not had a poutine. So there's one food item I was talking to Nico about the other day.
Where would we go if we wanted a poutine?
A French restaurant. There's one up the road, actually.
Shall we go?
We'll have to check if they've got a poutine. It's actually maybe a Canadian restaurant because it's
originated in Quebec.
I think
I saw, yeah.
We have to eat this Portuguese thing called a francesinha. Have you ever heard of this shit?
Francesinha.
Yeah, francesinha.
Are they nice, Nico?
I'll describe it to you, and then you have to decide.
Nico just give me the look as if say, if you cuss my food, I'm gonna fuck you up.
You asked for non-obvious questions in your tweet.
Yeah.
JD Suka says, that's Jamie Dodd.
He's Sun Essential.
What does a non-obvious question look like?
Like not things like, is Sun essential? Should I captain Sun this week? Should we sell Salah? The stuff that. I mean, obviously, if Salah's not going to be fit, sell him.
Amir says, what's James and Suj's opinion on the socio-economic reform of North Korea? Which is a very non-obvious question. I have noted, obviously, in the last week, North Korea started admitting to having COVID cases and deaths and so on and so on. They've been reporting on that. I mean, so much news is under the carpet there. But, I mean, I think they're suffering pretty badly with COVID cases at the moment. It's got to the point where you can't hide this anymore or make it false anymore. A non-obvious question would be asking James something to do with cricket.
Why would anybody
I
want to
don't
do
like
that?
cricket.
It annoys me that on our Patreon Slack we have a cricket channel because too many guys ask for it.
It's not like they pay for it or anything, is it? It's not like they pay for it or anything, is it?
Such a dry conversation.
Well, just mute it then.
Yeah.
Arprit, simple question. Should you triple up on Spurs against Norwich? Yeah, Norwich, yes. But I'm going to avoid Kulu just because of the illness. Right.
I think treble Spurs, like if the money's...
Go for it.
Yeah, Kane, Son, and I think Sessegnon over Emerson, I think, is probably the play.
Okay. Francesinha, you ready for this? Is a Portuguese sandwich originally from Porto.
Hang on, we're back on food again.
Yeah. Because we have to go and eat this. Just because Nico's obviously Portuguesa.
What's this?
It's a sandwich originally from Porto.
Okay.
It's made with bread, wet cured ham, fresh sausage like chipolata, steak or roasted meat, covered with melted cheese, and a hot, thick spiced tomato and beer sauce.
It's a heart attack.
Served with French fries on top and fried.
What?
That shit will kill you.
What's not in it?
Exactly. That's not fatty or meaty or fried or carby. It's death in a sandwich, mate. I couldn't eat it. I'd have like 3 or 4 bites and I'd feel...
Should we get one for lunch?
Death. I don't know where we would go to get one, but Francesinha...
Portuguese place.
We need to find one. If Spurs had Trent ahead of Emerson, how many points clear would you be at the top?
Might not be any, because I've said it a number of times. I'm not a big lover of the idea of Trent at wing back. Because I think he needs to see the play. Doesn't want his back to it in terms of high starting position. Prefer him starting from deeper. It's so creative. But yeah, we're better off, obviously, than Emerson. Emerson and Sessegnon, the last 3 games, the Liverpool, Arsenal, and yesterday, really good. Really good. Sessegnon looked like he was finally starting to get a bit of self-belief yesterday as well. Good.
James, would you rather never attend another Spurs game, but Spurs...
I'll take option B.
Spurs never attend the Spurs game and Spurs win the Premier League and Champions League, or continue to watch Spurs and never win a trophy? And I mean, flip it on West Ham. I'd rather not win and just go and watch the team.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'll give up going. I'll win a lot.
And never go again?
Yeah, fuck it.
You've got a long life still left to live. At least another 30, 40 years,
Have you seen me? I don't think so.
Not after we have Francesinha for lunch and
Exactly.
poutine with pulled pork for dinner. We'll be dead. This is an interesting one. It's come up a couple of times in a few questions, so I'll summarise it. People are talking about Gameweek 38. Do you go all out, take hits and go for it, or do you be defensive? So Mr. Chisholm saying, who's the safest captain pick if you're already ahead? And other people say, and would you take hits?
It depends where you're at and what you want to do, right? So the answer that I give to one person might be the right answer for someone else. What do you want to do? Is it about overall rank for you? Is it about protecting in mini league? Is it about chasing in a mini league? What do you want to do? And for some people, it's going to be about protecting. For some people, it's going to be going for it. I suspect most of our listeners will probably want to go for it. Therefore, go for it. There's nothing wrong with taking a few hits final day and stuff like that if you want to. I mean, look, the big clubs have got brilliant fixtures this week, really. You look at Liverpool at home to Wolves, City at home to Villa, Chelsea at home to Watford, Tottenham at Norwich, Arsenal at home to Everton. So the top 5 have got brilliant fixtures this week. You can fit in Jared Bowen, perhaps Brentford enabler, something like that. Even like we'll speak about Newcastle on Friday, but like someone like Callum Wilson's not out of my thoughts at the moment if he plays tonight, for example. So there's loads of options. Go for it.
A number of people, James, asking about June and where we're going on holiday. So FPL Quinner, any trips planned for June? Thank you so much for the content. FPL Hit Taker, where are you going on your holidays this summer? I don't know if people are planning on stalking us.
I'm going to the Cotswolds for a week. If anyone wants to buy me a beer, buy me a beer. I'll escape for a night.
So, you're going to do a Cotswolds meetup, FPL Cotswolds meetup?
Maybe.
Let's see. Keep an eye on Twitter for James for that. Now, I, unlike James, am tied to school holidays because your little one's still not in school, so I get screwed over. I'd love to say June is the right time for me to go on holiday, but it won't be. I am going to the Cotswolds myself, but I'm going that weekend, the Jubilee weekend, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. When are you going? Mid? Yeah, I'm going at the beginning. But I'm literally 2-3 days because it's a long weekend and half term. But my plan is to try and get to Wales for a bit, and also to Tenerife at the end of the holidays with school summer holidays. So I don't think I'll be organising a Tenerife FPL meetup. However,
I'll never see you again.
If you were putting a five-a-side team of FPL players, past and present, what would it look like? Who's the greatest FPL goalkeeper ever?
Sham.
FPL goalkeeper, not players, mate. Real football players.
Not from the community.
Nah, like real people.
Goalkeeper. Thing is, do you want an expensive one or do you want a budget
Martinez.
one?
He was on fire for a while.
More like maybe even really old school, someone like Czech in Mourinho's first Chelsea team, something like that. Would they concede 15 goals the first time they won it? It was ridiculous.
Yeah, 14 or 15, I can't remember which it was. It was a very low number.
Trent at the back. Got to be Trent on it.
Yeah. He's a beast. Salah.
I suppose we've got to go two at the back. And
Salah.
Leighton Baines, there's a shout for you.
Yeah.
Let's have that.
He was decent.
Midfield, Salah, yeah. And
striker, Aguero.
Bale.
Okay.
12-13 Bale.
He's got a lot of points.
And up front, Van Persie or Suarez. There you go.
Dan, the FPL fan, the author of our quiz on Patreon a few weeks ago. Do you remember your dreams? And if so, what are the best ones you've had and worst nightmare? I've had a few nightmares where I've been like killed and murdered and shit.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot as well. No one comes to my funeral either. Why are you laughing?
What happens in your funeral? Do you wake up in the casket and you like have a look around and like, oh shit,
it's a recurring nightmare. No one's come to my funeral. No, yeah, sometimes. It's mad, but sometimes when you wake up, I'm sure everybody's had it at least once. You're like, did that happen? I'm not sure. Particularly if you've gone out and you've been pissed. You're like, oh my god, did that happen last night? But yeah, to be honest, I've been up since 4:30, Suj.
Yeah,
I didn't get in till midnight.
Welcome to,
the bit in the middle, I can't remember nothing.
Last but not least, we're going to leave a question with Mr. FPL Tractor. And he says, does Suj say ciao for now in real life, or is it a pod thing? It's a pod thing. I'd say normally, all right, see you later. See you later is my general ending. Or on the phone, I don't say bye, which winds, I've said this before, it winds my wife up knowing. Like when the conversation's done and we talked about what we need to, I just hang up the phone. She's like, you never say bye to people. It's not just her.
Suj is so rude
so
to his missus on the phone. I swear, it's so rude.
Man. But if I'm on the phone to someone else and she's there, and then I'm like, all right, and then I just hang up. She's like, but you don't say bye to them. I'm like, but I don't. The conversation's ended. However, Neil, who works here, I said this to you the other day, and this is important news for all listeners. So he started saying ciao for now. He doesn't listen to the pod, but he started saying it to me just because he must have heard it somewhere. So I've now decided that this summer...
He's a closet Planet FPL
I am
listener.
turning that audio MP3 or WAV file or whatever it needs to be, Nico, you need to research this, into an NFT. And so every time Neil says it, he has to give me royalties on using that phrase. I don't know how to make an NFT. I don't know how to sell an NFT. But I know that you can turn audio snippets into an NFT. So it'll be available for sale in the summer when Nico figures out how to do it for £100,000. No, just call it dollars. $100,000. And at a discounted price for $50,000, we're also going to turn Q Music Manchild into an NFT.
Yes.
So $150,000 dollars. It's going to be available this summer.
And unlike Michael Owen, we will not promise that you can't lose your money.
Yeah, you can pay us in Ethereum.
What's that?
It's a cryptocurrency. Jokes. No, I don't say it in real life. And actually, I really want a new ending for the show that's not chat.
Why?
I don't know. It's just, it's 5 years, man. It's done its course. I want a different phrase.
Well, think of one that's better then.
All right. I think that's it. That's the questions, James.
Everyone should quote tweet the podcast and say what Suj's new saying should be.
Ending. It's got to be like 5 words or less. Like it can't be like some long. terms and conditions, whatever. So people come up with all sorts of dumb shit.
Yeah, read the T's and C's laters.
Yeah, it's all opinions here do not constitute official Fantasy Premier League advice, and people are advised to make their own decisions. We will not be held liable for any points losses or rank rises or financial losses as a result of listening to this podcast.
I quite prefer that, actually.
Probably would save you a few DMs, I reckon.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That's it. That's it for this episode. Back at you tomorrow. Full week of content, and of course, all of the end of season wrap up next week. I'm actually really looking forward to the end of season wrap up because we can start creating content with just fun in mind, really. Look after yourselves. Head over to patreon.com if you want to support the show, and stay safe. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other. Cue music, please, man child.